Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Highland Bullpen Baseball Podcast. All the way from Scotland, quite clearly now one of the world's baseball hotspots. Send 20,000 Scots over to the US, and you'll get them all at Fenway Park or Lone Depot Park in Miami these days. And we are almost becoming the center of the baseball universe. And we're excited tonight to be joined by a Tartan Army foot soldier, Stephen, not long back from Boston, where you saw the national team beat Haiti and managed to join the game at Fenway. That really spurred a lot of things on. So we're gonna chat about that tonight. So thanks for joining us. And we're also joined by our resident Red Sox fan, Yorkshire Dave. And for any of the Tartan Army listening in, Yorkshire Dave, well, is Yorkshire, and he has spent half his life in Scotland. So there's plenty of allegiances there as well. So one of the good guys. So Stephen, I was excited to hear how Fenway Park was for you, but maybe just give us a wee lead up. You flew over, and obviously you were in Boston for a day or two, and went to the Haiti game. Sort of, how was the whole feeling amongst that? Just obviously before the baseball, everything seemed to be getting quite exciting before any games were partaken of.
Yeah, definitely, Alan. I'm always somewhat cynical about these press reports where everybody's having the single greatest party of all time when they go to certain places at certain times. I have to say there's no exaggeration in what you're reading or seeing in the social media about the Scotland fans arriving in Boston. We got there on Friday night. Our flight was slightly delayed, but the friends we were meeting there had been at Scotland House down by the harbour all day. It was great atmosphere. We went out and watched the USA game. The Bostonians just took to the Tartan Army. I don't know if it's social, cultural background similar, but there was just a natural mesh, and the atmosphere was superb on the Friday night. And the Saturday into the game was just it's a bucket list thing. I remember kidding on as a teenager in 1998 that we would go to the World Cup at some point. Kid my dad and my friends would go over. So 28 years later, it was
You
we're
waited a
definitely
while.
going this way. It had been a little while. I didn't have grey hair back then, Alan, for a start. So it was the whole atmosphere was what you are seeing and
Wow,
described.
yeah. You
Welcoming
don't
people.
know. You're getting such snippets of that as well. And you talk about 1998 there, and obviously the last time we were in the World Cup. And Dave, you were in the old Foxborough Stadium as well. Well, it's obviously not where Scotland recorded the win, but the old Patriots. Is that right? The New England Patriots
Yeah,
Stadium?
yeah, it was our first ever visit to America in '93, and we went to Boston and New England thereabouts, and took in a game at Fenway. But we also went to a match at Foxborough. It's about 20 miles away. Is that right? Something like that, isn't it?
Yeah, roughly.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was an incredible game actually. It was against Rich's Seattle Mariners, and it
yeah.
was billed as the two.
Seahawks, yeah.
That's it, Seattle Seahawks. Yeah, it was billed as the next two big quarterbacks. I think they've both been sort of first and second draft picks, and it was a terrific game. Drew Bledsoe and Rick Myra, and they did
Yeah,
have pretty good careers.
yeah.
But the thing that got me about, and the fans in Boston, all the sports fans, they are serious hombres. And before the game, there was somebody had hired an airplane to fly around with one of those banners on it, and it said, I pretty much remember it exactly. It said, "We wanted wins, not a crappy new logo." And 1993 was when they changed from the original
All right,
logo to
yeah.
the one that they've got now. So I was quite impressed with that. I think they were real, and there
Yeah,
was a bit, you know what? There was a bit of trouble behind us in the stand, and I remember this policeman coming up, and he had his just behind us, and he had his hand on the gun, and that seemed to quieten things down a
yeah.
little bit.
And that's an interesting point as well because the US with their policing and that will have a reputation and people you've always got to be wary wherever you go in the world, Stephen. But everybody welcomed you so well, and the police were joining in with everything, and that just made for a great experience, I guess.
Yeah, it was astonishing. Yeah, I've been around the States, Alan, a few times,
Yeah,
and I think back to, I mean, I had the misfortune of walking through Dallas one night and coming around a corner to where somebody had been shot, and the police were here dealing with a live shooting, So
yeah,
it's you go from Texas, where everyone is very openly carrying and making eye contact with you and almost inviting you to be
yeah.
antagonistic, to Boston was a complete polar opposite. The
Oh,
police were unbelievably welcoming. It seemed a fairly relaxed city compared to other parts of the States.
yeah. What was your expectation? So you'd obviously you knew there was a Tartan Army march to Fenway.
Yeah.
You watched baseball as a youngster back in the 1990s, but you've never been to a game. What was your expectation buying a ticket for Fenway when it was a Tartan Army march? Did you think a few hundred people with bagpipes, blah blah blah?
Well, I think we got in early, Alan. So we actually, I think the Tartan Army were mostly in the bleachers, just
Yeah,
along from the Green Monster, but we were actually near first base. I always hunt for a bargain and had found some tickets for about $10 more at first base. So we had tremendous seats, and I kind of thought, it was ticking off. It was the only major American sport I hadn't attended yet.
yeah,
If you're going to do it, then what better a historic stadium like
yeah,
Fenway? So I'd anticipated there might be, the odd Scotland strip round about, but it seemed to just completely, the momentum in the week up to it was ridiculous, and everyone we spoke to all of a sudden was buying tickets, and it went from being we'll meet at the park just to walk up to pipe bands starting to arrange to meet there, and I mean we turned up. We'd actually been at the Cheers bar in Boston.
yeah, yeah,
Before we went along and got our taxi down a good 15 minutes before the march was due to leave, and it was already, I couldn't estimate, 4,000 deep. We actually just hung about at the front until the police moved away to disperse rather than walk, 10, 15 minutes the wrong direction to come back the way with the crowd.
yeah. Yeah. How did the march work? Because I mean, presumably, I know you're not involved in the organisation, but somebody in the Tartan Army must be speaking to the police to say, well, can we block this road off for an hour and we're going to have fun and we're going to bring all this colour and music and joy to the city?
But from the park they picked, Alan, there was actually a public walkway they could avoid kind of disrupting the roads. They had to close
Right.
one road at the
Yeah.
start to cross over, but there was a public walkway through, and it was actually quite nice. Again, it wasn't heavily marshalled, so there were Bostonians out strolling about the park, stopping, getting the camera phones out, going, "What on earth's happening here?" and joining in and walking along. So, again, you know what it's like in certain sports, certain cities. There's a lot more tension. It was unbelievably relaxed. It didn't feel at all like it was something that there was any threat of anything kicking off. And again, keep going back to the whole city. Everyone welcomed it. You didn't feel like you were imposing, and everyone was just kind of joining in the fun.
Yeah. And Haiti fans, was there many Haiti fans around as well? With it?
No, not at Fenway.
Yeah,
And to be fair
yeah,
to them, well represented on the Saturday night of the game.
yeah,
Fair play, took a really good crowd and just again joyous people. They were really good fun. They
yeah,
were up for their pictures with the Scots, and there were dance offs round about and lots of trying to break down the barrier with jokes between Scots language and Haitians who have no idea what were being said to them.
yeah,
But no, at the game it truly was. It was the Scotland takeover. Some bemused Red Sox fans who I'm told by the locals suck this season,
yeah.
and
People
um,
confirm that.
yes, and a handful of Rangers fans. There were a few Texas Rangers fans in right behind us. There was a couple who just clearly decided to come up for the game, and then just a wall of Scotland strips and the special. I think I don't know if you're aware, the Red Sox sold a certain number of tickets where you got a commemorative T-shirt.
The
At the
Scotland
weekend.
t-shirt, right? Brilliant.
Yes, so a Red Sox T-shirt with the Scotland badge on it and World Cup logo, so they were just everywhere. Clearly, that had attracted. The Red Sox were very savvy about it, and that attracted maybe some casual observers who might not have gone otherwise.
Yeah, it's good to hear they had that all thought through. So you were at first base away from the bleachers. Presumably you were sat near some of the locals as well, who might have thought, well, what's your shirt? What's going? What the hell's going on?
We had a lot of chat. Although ironically, the family of four in front of us who we thought this is great. They look quite nice, quite sensible. We can ask them questions if we're not sure what's going on here. We're actually just over from California, having a weekend in Boston and came in to watch the game there. So they had limited knowledge about who was good, who wasn't, and what was happening. The Red Sox fans were spread through and we're just approaching everyone. You couldn't walk along the concourse without being stopped, asked where you're from, were you at the game last night, who are you here to see tonight? I keep going on about it. They were unbelievably welcoming. There was no tension or feeling that you're invading their space. On the contrary, they rolled out the tartan carpet, so to speak, and the stadium leaned into it as well. The entire staff, I keep coming back to it. The Red Sox as an organisation absolutely nailed it for the evening. They clearly decided, look, we've got a captive audience. This can be a bit fun. They leaned into it with the music. There was no the security checks going in where did what was necessary, but was not over the top at all. They were ushering, they were taking Scotland fans in, showing them where their seats were. The merchandise stalls were absolutely rammed, so they clearly saw the chance for a quick buck whilst they were at it too.
Why not?
Yeah, 100%. But it was, and as much as it would have been great to be in the bleachers too, one of the benefits of where we sat was we got a really close view of the game, which was enjoyable. But we got to watch the absolute mayhem of the Scotland fans jumping about whenever the songs came on or whenever the chants got going too.
And the way I saw it as well, when you say the Red Sox nailed it, they knew the songs to play as well over the speakers.
They certainly did how they'd done the research in terms of the playlist, which we went out with some locals from Boston on the night after the game, and they were basically saying, and Dave, you'll know a lot more than me about this, but they were saying they've never seen Fenway like this. Like, you guys come back. They leaned into it heavily, and I think they quite enjoyed the party atmosphere. Although I suppose that would be much more welcome if your team's having a pretty rubbish season rather than watching another grinding defeat.
Yeah, I was actually looking at the schedule. I know we're recording this before tonight's game against Brazil, but I was having a quick look and I just put together a list of possible venues Scotland play their next game. And I think there's a very small chance we play Germany in Boston. It's German Heritage Night. So they've obviously, I think they already know that Germany are going to play there. And again, they've thought, let's do this. And the Germans would be a good crowd for them as well to do that with as well. So yeah.
I should probably point out that I did have a wobble on Sunday night, Alan, and I was looking at cheap flights back to Boston this weekend just in case. But they trebled in price by Monday night, so that window had slammed shut, I'm afraid.
Yeah, yeah. What was the queues like to get a beer?
Really not bad at all. I don't know if we were fortunate because we were in the lodge or load boxes to the side. So certainly the number of fans there was a little bit, I suspect, lower than up in the bleachers. But genuinely, service was absolutely fine. Minute or two, pretty reasonable amount. The only thing we got caught out with at one point was one person not being allowed to buy 4 drinks. I think there's a fee ahead caption, which. Yes, we got caught out with that at some point when somebody had nicked off to the lavatory. So that was we needed more carefully coordinated beer runs thereafter. But again, everyone was just the staff were very welcoming. They knew what they were doing. They really went. I can't say as much as the Tartan Army might have brought an atmosphere of liveliness to the night. The Red Sox staff were absolutely on their game.
It's just fantastic to hear. And you obviously understand the game a bit, having watched it in the past. I mean, what was the general feeling of the reaction of the Scottish football fans who not everybody listens to our podcast, so presumably some of them didn't fully understand the game. What cheering, fly pop-ups and what have you, easy catches and stuff.
Yeah, it was highly entertaining. So you just absolutely nailed that. Any fly pop up, the intermediate shortstop waiting for 3 minutes for a slow ball to drop in their glove was cheered as if the World Series was being clinched, which was highly entertaining at the start. But we had some of the Scottish fans nearby us. One of the guys we were with had a friend who, like yourselves, is very invested in the game and was texting him the lingo, and he kept sitting next to the guy next to him and saying, "Oh, this is set up for a double play. Here comes a double play." I think he must have said that about 8 times, and this poor American fan who was knowledgeable in the game was like, "Please goodness, stop telling me this." It was fantastic. Even by the end of it, the less knowledgeable Scottish fans stop calling it rounders, and if you only have one victory, starting to realise there's a bit more nuance and skill to it than
Yes.
that, was it definitely made it worthwhile.
Yeah, and I think that's, I mean, for us as fans, it's exciting to see um, that other people in Scotland have gone and enjoyed the game and have seen it differently. My first Major League Baseball game I attended was at Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles, and it was a late first pitch. So I ended up, and this is back in the day before the simpler mobile phone communication, but I ended up texting back and forth with Yorkshire Dave there as he was watching it in the
Yeah, I
UK at
remember that.
5 o'clock in the morning or something like that to
Yeah.
tell me what was happening and what was going to happen next. So it was yeah, it's a good way to do that. People know it, people want to help. It's fantastic to see. What was the reaction to the scoring? I mean, I think the Rangers obviously won the game.
Yeah.
Were they leading most of the time?
Yeah, pretty much. They jumped out in front. I think they were, and the Beers might have had a slight influence on this, Jane, so forgive me if I'm not entirely, but I think they were 3-0 up
Yeah,
before the Red Sox scored their first home run. And it was noticeable, with obviously the home crowd, the scoreboard flashing up. The reaction to the Red Sox first home run was absolutely fantastic. It was completely different. I'm joking about, the fly balls and the easy outs.
yeah.
It wasn't a heck of a far off a Scotland goal. The whole
Right.
crowd was going crazy. No idea, obviously,
Yeah,
clearly that they're still 3-1 down, and I think by that point it was the fourth, and it's not looking good overall. But the reaction to that was superb. And again, you could genuinely see to my right, the Scottish fans are going crazy. There's some of the hardcore Boston fans are celebrating, but a sizable amount of Red Sox fans just looking around going, what is this? What is going on here?
yeah. It's fantastic here. I think the only videos I saw was a couple of Scottish guys catching home run balls
Yeah.
or foul balls. Um, but I wasn't aware of like the noise. I was hoping there was going to be. They've bought into it, and they weren't just there for the baseball. They were obviously there then to cheer the Red Sox along as well. So that's exciting to see. And you've obviously been to major sports events in the US before. Will baseball feature a little bit more in your future?
Yeah, definitely so. I think it was quite, as you know, the NFL is my
Yeah,
sport rights in America, and when you take away, I've been fortunate enough to be to a Super Bowl, and that's obviously a
brilliant.
completely different
Amazing.
level. But you take that away, the game day experience, apart from probably the tailgating, was relatively similar. The bars round about Fenway before the game were absolutely buzzing. Again, they were very smart in what they lead into promotions, live music, playlists, trying to get you in through the door.
Yeah,
The locals fully embraced it, so we were getting a little bit of chat. We didn't go in, we went in with a little bit of knowledge from speaking to Red Sox fans about how the
yeah,
season had been, who their players were to look for, who they were not so much fans of, it's fair to say. I think it's certainly family orientated as well. You could comfortably, it's such a nice pace, and there's lots of things to
yeah.
do and about it. If you were wanting to take the kids for a sport where it could be a relaxed experience, I think that would be pretty high on the list too. And I really enjoyed Fenway. As I say, knowing the history, I know that Alan, you and I had talked about it and being the oldest stadium and just the
Yeah.
unique little features of it as a stadium. It was nice to go rather than a modern mechanical set to go and see a properly historic building.
I think that's right. I think Dave would back that up as well. I mean, I went to see Fenway, see the Tigers play a couple of times a couple of years ago. Unfortunately, so for any Red Sox fans listening, unfortunately, I saw the Tigers get beat there as well. And hopefully, there are a few Red Sox fans in the US listening, thanks to Dave here as well. But Fenway is a fantastic. How we've been to lots of ballparks where you turn up and there's a ballpark, and it's like you've had to take a bus or whatever to get there. But
Yeah.
Fenway, you walk to, there's bars, there's restaurants, there's shops, there's a concert hall at the back of Fenway. There's a famous bleachers bar, so it has everything you want for a first experience. So I mean that just sort of pulls that together. Interested in your thoughts. I see the Patriots. Obviously, they play your sport, the NFL. They play in the Gillette Stadium. They're asking now, seriously asking about playing a game in Scotland. And I think Hampden has offered. So the SFA aren't being slow in this, which is good to see as well. They've offered to say, well, we can help with this. So Well, um, that's the power of the Tartan Army, Stephen. That's you guys going, giving Boston an experience. The guy who owns the Patriots will be one of the richest men in the country, and he's saying, "Can we play one of our, what is it, 8 games 1 year in Scotland?" I mean, that's a big ask. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, I should probably clarify. I can't. I can take very limited credit. I don't get away to games nearly as much these days, Alan. So certainly, I only went over and took a ticket because I got one through FIFA channels. I wouldn't have taken a ticket off of somebody who gets to
Yeah,
go to all
yeah,
the games and missed out. So I can't personally take the credit. But to your point, absolutely, the whole atmosphere. You've read all the stories about the efforts made to raise money for local charities
yeah,
to support causes round about. The goodwill created from the start was unbelievable. And I think seeing the energy brought to the American sport, but also the good nature of it, the fact that there was no, you could have had no security there. There wasn't an
yeah,
iota of any problems in the evening. It's great. Scotland's long overdue having an NFL game. In my view, we've got one of the more passionate parts of the UK in terms of NFL support. We've got the infrastructure. It's obviously gone to England, I think, dear for
yeah.
ease of flying into the major cities. But if Robert Kraft has finally seen the light and wants to be the guy to bring the Patriots here, then more power to him.
I would assume the Patriots have more than an average amount of influence around the NFL board talks as well. So when Mr. Kraft goes and makes
Yeah,
that suggestion, people are going to sit up and listen.
he's
Um,
probably one of the 5 or 6 most on the sort of competition committee. Alan, who
I
does
think
have
that
actually.
was the case back in 1993. I think back then they were, I wouldn't say a joke team, but they really were poor, weren't they? And I think it's really this century that they've come alive, isn't it? And I was just checking. I think they've won it 6 times.
yeah,
All of those wins, if I'm getting it right, have been in the last 20 odd years, and they've been beaten finalists as well, haven't they? So
Yeah.
yeah, to get them to come over to Scotland is a real coup.
yeah. And you can't see that not happening if he's saying it. And Americans would love. I'm imagining a lot of Bostonians and folks in New England are going to be thinking, yeah, if we can go and see the Patriots over in Scotland, we're up for that as well, which would be fantastic as well.
Well,
Maybe they do that. Maybe we'll get your Red Sox here as well.
it's another natural link, Alan. The first ever UK-based player to win a Super Bowl medal was a former wide receiver on the Patriots practice squad in their first Super Bowl win. So, a player called Scott McCready. So, a very
Right.
nice natural link. If the Patriots, I had the first Scottish Super Bowl winner came back to Scotland for a game.
Yeah, that's there's so much. We're a small nation, but we pull our weight in terms of, as you say, fan support, passion, um, getting involved with the local culture, promoting the country, which is, I guess, what we're saying that, yeah, uh, they want to come here. We'll now have, well, the Red Sox will now have fans. The Patriots will get fans here. I mean, that's sport is international these days, so it's wonderful to see that and wonderful to see the consequence of it. It's international because we've got our wee podcast here as well. No, it's been fantastic talking about it. I can see from the look in your face as well just how much you've enjoyed it, how much you've enjoyed reminiscing over it all as well. Have you any final words or any stories you particularly wanted to tell that we've maybe not got around to?
Yeah, probably just a couple of quick ones to close off. So, what I found when we talk about Bostonians being similar to Scotland is that even they, Alan, in fact, perhaps more so than you, can put up with my dad jokes. Because I think the biggest laugh of the night I got was when a Texas Ranger came up to at bat, and I said that he was hungry like the wolf for a home run, and his name was Duran,
Yeah,
which made my evening. There was just it was bizarre. I've been to other parts of America where you're having to slow down how you talk, pronounce
yeah,
your words, and it's not there is the Bostonians and the Scots just meshed very naturally. Similar
yeah,
humour, got each other. It worked fantastically, and that spread into the night after. So I think you were touching upon what it was like going into Fenway. The night after was phenomenal. We went to a bar called Lansdowne, just across from bleachers beside the House of Blues,
Yeah,
right outside the stadium.
yeah,
They were absolutely jam-packed, but they had a license closing at 11 o'clock, and we thought that was going to be the evening. And it's not. Three Bostonians came over to us and said, "Are you kicking about? Come on, we'll show you somewhere to go." Next thing,
yeah,
it's like the Pied Piper of Hamelin taking us through the crowd, and about 300 or 400 of us end up in another bar until 1 in the morning, where everyone was welcome. So, as I say, I didn't really know what to expect going to Boston, and I would heartily recommend it to anyone who wants to go for a visit. And going to Fenway, especially if you're a baseball fan, is something to try and tick off the list.
brilliant. And most people will listen to this after the game tonight, but a quick prediction to put you on the spot for tonight.
One each. One
One
each will
each,
do.
good stuff. We'll take that. We'll
Yeah.
take that. Dave, you going to go for that?
You know what? That's exactly what I was going to say. 1-1.
Good.
Genuine.
Good. I was reckoning 0-0, but we're all going for a draw anyway. So a draw is what we need. A draw is what we'll be seeing in a couple of hours' time. Stephen, I know
Realistic
you're heading.
pragmatism.
Sorry.
Realistic pragmatism.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. There's something like that. And I know you're heading out tonight for the game to watch a game with pals and Sterling. So I hope it goes well. We really appreciate you coming on, telling your stories and giving us the enthusiasm for that. And it's been fantastic. And we've enjoyed going along with this ride as well. A few extra downloads and what have you in the podcast, which is always appreciated. But we do this for fun as well. So it's a fun game. Baseball is a fun experience. The Tartan Army have made it a different kind of fun experience. So well done to you all. And thanks everybody for listening.